Imagine you're a scientist in the 1990s, analyzing preserved remains of ancient Egyptian mummies. You run standard tests. You expect to find traces of embalming oils, maybe herbs, maybe even mold. But what you actually find? Cocaine. And not just that, nicotine too. These aren't isolated results. Multiple mummies, tested in different labs, all come back with traces of two drugs that don't belong anywhere near ancient Egypt. Why is that so weird? Because both cocaine and nicotine are native to the Americas. Cocaine comes from the coca plant, which grows in South America. And nicotine comes from tobacco, native to the Americas too, and unknown in the Old World before Columbus. So how did these New World drugs end up inside bodies that were buried more than 3,000 years ago? This isn't internet conspiracy talk, it's based on real forensic studies. In 1992, a German toxicologist named Dr. Svetlana Balabanova was examining a female Egyptian mummy known as Henut Tawi. Her tests detected high levels of nicotine and cocaine in the mummy's hair. At first, the scientific world thought she'd made a mistake. Contaminated samples. Bad lab equipment. Mishandling. Maybe the museum staff smoked around the mummy? But no, she retested everything. Same results. Then she expanded the study to other mummies in different locations. Over 70% of them tested positive for nicotine. And about 1/3 tested positive for cocaine. These weren't just trace amounts either, in some cases, the levels were comparable to those found in modern drug users. Let that sink in. Ancient Egyptians, with drugs that shouldn't even exist in their world. So what's going on? There are a few theories, and they range from the scientific to the downright mind-blowing. One possibility? Botanical confusion. Some scholars argue that nicotine might not have come from tobacco, but from other plants like nightshade, which are native to Africa and Asia and contain trace nicotine. That's plausible, but doesn't explain the cocaine. Another theory? Misidentification. Maybe the chemical signatures picked up by the tests were confused with other compounds. But these were mass spectrometry tests, highly accurate. Which leads to the wildest idea of all, ancient transatlantic contact. That somehow, thousands of years ago, ancient civilizations might have traveled across the ocean, trading goods and drugs, long before Columbus. That there was a forgotten or hidden exchange between the old and new worlds. If this is true, it would change everything we know about global history. It would mean Egyptian seafarers, or some unknown maritime culture, reached the Americas and brought back coca and tobacco centuries before Europeans even imagined the world was round. Mainstream historians hate this theory, but the evidence? It's sitting inside sarcophagi. So the question stands. Why were ancient mummies full of cocaine? Is it contamination? Misidentified plants? A testing fluke? Or, is it a clue that ancient history isn't as isolated as we've been told? Something's off here. And until we dig deeper, we might just be missing one of the biggest forgotten connections in human history. If that blew your mind, hit the like button. Subscribe to CONCURDAWRLD for more weird truths they didn't teach you in school. And drop a comment. Do you think ancient civilizations made contact across the ocean?